What is good, kind people? Lee Sanders here, the RCWR show. Monday night, June 22nd, 2020. Oof. If you had watched Raw, I want to hear from you. What did you think about that episode? Going through the motions. Ooh, man, that was some... It is becoming difficult by the week to watch the Monday night flagship show. I gotta tell you, do we really need to even put a poll up asking you all what did you think about tonight's Raw? I really don't think we need to. I wouldn't be surprised if the vast majority of you all honestly said, it was a bit of a weak episode. Not really something. I'm on to the next episode. And to think, we're 3 weeks away from what's the next pay-per-view they got coming up? We're like 3 weeks away from it though, right? So, matter of fact, hey Google, what's the next WWE pay-per-view event? Google will tell us. Hey Google, stop. That can't be right. Google just told me Money in the Bank. That can't be right. Didn't we just get done with WWE Backlash? Or is that... Let me see something here. I'll know in a hot second here. Let's see what the next pay-per-view is here. Yeah, I thought we just did Backlash. No, the next one should be... Extreme Rules. Yeah, Extreme Rules, which is on July the 19th. Coming to us from the Performance Center. And they said we got about 3 weeks to go. Man, this is rough. I promise you this, though. And if you follow me on Twitter, you know this very well. But I just want to reiterate it one more time for those of you that maybe aren't following on the social media platforms. My overall takeaways for Raw for this week, I know there's a good majority of you guys that are used to me spending about 25 to 40 minutes talking about Raw. And then we move on to other topics. No, the things that I have to say about Raw tonight, I want to be in and out. It's going to be the shortest overall takeaways for Raw this week because there's loads of more important matters that we need to get into for the first time since everything went down last week. I haven't properly given my 2 cents on everything that's been happening with this whole hashtag speak out movement. So I definitely want to chime in on that and a couple of more tidbits. So let's have at it. Of course, I'm live for this next little bit. We're streaming on multiple platforms. We're streaming not just on YouTube. We're also streaming on Mixlr, also on Facebook and Twitch. So I am able to see what y'all are saying. You happen to pop up in the chat and everything. So, yeah, this Raw, I gotta tell you, what's the worst thing that can happen is what a lot of people have said with regards to Bruce Pritchard being back at the helm. What have we got to lose? What's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And now we're starting to get an idea. Let me just go over, because I did take notes, as I always do. I took notes for this week's Raw. During your first hour, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I was at the TV the entire time. So unless I'm missing something, I would definitely encourage you all that's listening or watching live to let me know. But during the first hour of tonight's Raw, we had only got one match. One match during the first hour. And that consisted of the Street Profits taking on the Viking Raiders. And that match, it only lasted, if you were lucky, about 8 minutes. That match was for the Raw Tag Team titles, Street Profits retaining. Hey, wish I could say it was a really damn good entertaining match. Bit average for my taste. But on a brighter note, it would appear that at least we're done with the stupidity that's been going on the past several weeks with this whole anything you can do, I can do better tournaments and ninjas being thrown into the Raiders' Profits' way as it seems things are getting back to a more serious tip as Street Profits, maybe possibly Raiders as well. We'll have to see how it plays out. But Angel Garza and my man Andrade, they are back on the same page. Somehow Zelina Vega has these guys focused and they are working as a cohesive unit, at least for the time being. Got to quote that Queen song, one vision, one goal, just one vision. Looks like they're eyeing those Raw Tag Team titles. Because shortly after this match was over and all four of those teams, or rather, four men of those respected teams, gave each other dabs in the ring. Viking Raiders took their exit so that the champions could celebrate. Garza Andrade attacking the champions, stomping a mud hole in their ass. Raiders coming back, trying to make a save. Damage has already been done. They made their escape. So, I mean, at least things are now going to go back to a more serious tip. And it's kind of funny because I remember when all the silliness had went down at the Backlash pay-per-view, and I was just, I ripped just everything that was going on. And I remember following it up the very next night on Monday's Raw. If you guys recall, I was not that complimentary of that Monday's Raw after the pay-per-view. Less than 24 hours after the pay-per-view. Was not that kind at all. And it was funny seeing a couple of tweets that had came my way from people saying, "Oh, dude, you just gotta lighten up, man. Not everything can be serious. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just comedic purposes. It was just for ha-ha funny." And understand something, man. I can't believe I gotta say this. I gotta reiterate it once again, but I got no problem doing it. I don't mind the funny haha. I don't mind comedic stuff. I don't mind humor. My whole thing is just make sure that the shit is actually funny. Just make sure that the shit is actually gonna deliver the jokes on all cylinders. I would rather something be funny than something be silly. There's a big difference. There's a very big difference in that. And I think we all could be in agreement, especially those of us that are particularly fans of Street Profits and the Viking Raiders, but more so the Street Profits. I'm sure there are many of us that will say, yeah, man, those guys definitely deserve better. So, and look, to their credit, Raiders, Profits, to their credit, they tried to do everything possible to make that shit work. They tried everything they could, but it just was not clicking. So now that they are removed from all of this silliness and we can get back to the basics and everything, I'm happy. I welcome this. Let's see where everything goes. But yeah, that match during the first hour of tonight's Monday Night Raw, Raiders and Profits, that was only about 8 minutes. Remember, this was dubbed a Champions Edition of Monday Night Raw. Okay, well, if it's going to be a Champions Edition of Monday Night Raw, then shouldn't we have a Champions type of feel to it? You know, if the champions are all going to be represented, at least for the Raw side of things, on this show tonight, they're going to be on this card tonight, then shouldn't your champions be going out there and be having, I'm not saying they got to go out there and have a 30 fucking minute match or anything like that, but shouldn't there be 15, maybe about 20-minute matches here and there, give or take? Just saying. So 8 minutes, but during your first hour, as far as your first hour goes, that's all you had got as far as in-ring action. So, if maybe tonight was the night, for those of you that maybe did not watch Raw, but maybe you have it on the DVRs and you're checking out the show. I know there's some of you guys have honestly told me, man, I'm at a point, I don't even bother watching Raw. I check out your show because I know you'll touch on some of the bullet points about it, and if it's something I need to go out of my way and check out, I can trust you. I know you'll definitely give it to me raw. No pun intended. But if you were to tell me that 1 hour, for just 1 hour, one match, and that one match would be about 8 minutes, I would say, something weird happened? Is there some type of technical difficulties or something like that? Why only one match in 1 hour and the match is that short? What's going on? Second hour, we get about almost 11 minutes, minus the commercial breaks. We get about almost 11 minutes of Asuka taking on Charlotte Flair. Great matchup for what that was worth. Asuka going over. Charlotte Flair looking pretty rattled at the fact that Asuka got the best of her. But you could almost make the argument, yeah, but was Charlotte's head really checked into the game there? Because not for nothing, but before this match even went down, she did cross paths with Nia Jax. Nia Jax, at one point, was in the middle of the ring, sitting in the chair, holding up the show hostage, because she didn't like how things had went down the last time she faced Asuka. The fast count by the referee. She was trying to get some type of retribution for this. Charlotte comes out. Both of them talk a hot game. Nia Jax brings up revisionist history, reminding Charlotte Flair, hey, I seem to remember that the one and only time that the two of us locked up, I got the best of you. I've owned your ass. And yeah, you've been running around ever since, and you've been making a nice little name for yourself, taking on weaker opponents, but I still got that W on you. So, a little bit of fighting words there. Charlotte trying to take it to Nia Jax. No telling how much. If you're thinking about it on paper, following that storyline, that's kind of good the way that they set that up, because Nia Jax, Charlotte rumbling with each other. No telling how much damage was done to Charlotte. And even if hardly any damage was done to Charlotte, just the fact that her mind was just engulfed in that, you know, your undivided attention should just be solely on your match against Asuka there. It was what it was. A little bit after that match was all over and done with, Charlotte Flair was seen backstage. Still a bit pissed off at the loss there to Asuka. Nia Jax jumping on her from behind, doing a serious number on her arm. Looks as though the way the angle has gone, Charlotte is going to be out for some weeks, as her father, Ric Flair, was in the house tonight. And I thought that was kind of smooth the way that they had Ric Flair knock out two birds there with one stone. Ric Flair kind of giving you the impression Charlotte is going to be out for a while, but that when she does come back, Nia Jax is a dead woman. Dead man walking. Dead woman walking. Also, during your second hour, you had about, maybe if you were lucky, a 6-minute match as Natalya defeated Liv Morgan. Nothing really special right there. You know, there's a lot of moments tonight where if you wanted to go make yourself a nice tuna casserole, walk the dog, go fishing, you could have did that and then some, and then come on back a while later and you really didn't miss anything. To be perfectly honest with you. Interesting development, though. I will say this. Storyline-wise, some story arcs had saw further advancement. I will definitely, I'm not all crapping on it. There was some interesting developments that, okay, well, this is pretty good. So take, for instance, Natty defeating Liv Morgan, which, by the way, kind of following up on what we had said last week there, we now kind of have somewhat of an idea of the alliance there between Natty and Lana. It would appear that Lana is now going to be a valet/manager there for Natalya, and we officially saw their pairing tonight. Now, here's the thing. Natty had teased that she had a big announcement that she wanted to break, but whoever the girl was that was interviewing her, she had serious beef with her because she literally came to Natty right before Natty was supposed to have her match with Liv Morgan. And she was pretty pissed off about that. So I can't help but wonder if Natty is going to break whatever news she was going to be breaking on Raw Talk which is essentially on right now, assuming it's still on. I don't know how long that show usually goes. So I'm wondering if the announcement is going to be made on that show, because Natty had teased that she was going to make the announcement after her match was over against Liv Morgan. But that announcement never did came. But you kind of got the impression, okay, especially seeing Lana with her, maybe it had something to do with their alliance there. Now, we did see a poor, heartbroken Liv Morgan backstage. Looked like she had a little boo-boo on her face, little bubbly, she looked good, bubbly. And of all people, good old fucking Ruby Riott was backstage, and she was trying to have a couple of words with her, but Liv wasn't having it. She was just emotionally defeated. Stuff just has not been going her way for the past couple of weeks. She already feels like shit as it is. Wasn't trying to hear it from Ruby, so before things could even escalate, she pretty much ejected herself. But yeah, read into that a little bit more, it would appear that Ruby Riott actually was trying to throw a little bit of an olive branch out there to Liv Morgan. You know, I gotta tell you, there's just a small little part of me that misses the Riott Squad. Just a small little part of me. But, you know, I would still rather... I'm at the point, honestly, given everything that Ruby Riott, aka Heidi Lovelace, has accomplished in her career prior to WWE and everything. I'm just at the point right now where I would really like to see her truly break out as a singles competitor on the roster. That's where I'm honestly at right now, because I see so much more of a return investment in her than other people on the roster. And look, while I'm mentioning Ruby Riott, there's somebody else that I personally feel, because I'll go on record, and I'll go on record now and I'll say this. I think that Sarah Logan, she had all the opportunities in the world, just wasn't panning out. Never say never. Maybe she will be back in the WWE. Always thought it was kind of weird that when it seemed all else failed, they didn't have her just pair up with the Viking Raiders, considering her husband is in that stable and everything. In real life, it is what it is, but she had enough opportunities. I did say to you guys, I got to be consistent here. Remember, that's the word. That's the word that we try to utilize. Seems like once a week here. You got to be consistent. And I have to be consistent from this standpoint, because I remember a couple of months ago when Liv Morgan had first returned, I said, I feel indifferent right now. I'm not looking at it as a good thing. I'm not looking at it as a bad thing. If you guys recall, I said, let's see what happens. I'm not that excited. I'm not overjoyed. I'm not shitting on it, but what's going to be different this time? Can she really stand out? Can she be more than just that cute little thing with the weird tongue that she's been sucking on lollipops and whatever else to get that color dye or whatever? But now that enough time has passed and we've gotten accustomed to this character, I understand wholeheartedly that she can only go but to a certain point, given the material that's being given to her and everything by creative and everything. So I can't put all the blame on her, but just everything that I've been seeing thus far with this Liv Morgan run, this current new Liv Morgan, it's just not doing anything for me. So for me personally, I would actually like to see Liv Morgan take a little bit more of a back burner, a backseat, and let's put more eyes, let's put more emphasis, let's structure the writing team and everything a little bit more, have them back somebody like a Ruby Riott, but there's also somebody else I want to throw in there as well. I'm not sure where she is with her rehabilitation process, because I know she went out on injury and everything. And I promise you, when we come back later on in the week, I will definitely do my best to provide you guys with a new update. I wasn't prepared to bring up this name, but now that I'm bringing this name out there, now I'm curious where she is as far as her rehabbing process. I would like to see the investment be done with my girl Amber Moon. You know, there's a person that a lot of potential, and honestly, I remember bringing her up a while back, and I said something along the lines of, and you guys will remember this again, being consistent. I said something along the lines of she needs that Becky Lynch breakout moment. Those were essentially my exact words. You know, she needs that moment where she finally has that breakthrough. And I told you guys back then, I said I wasn't sure if maybe it would come in the form of an opponent or, you know, a very deep, passionate promo or what, but she just needs that one defining moment that will aha, and it'll have her click with fans all throughout social media and everything. But Amber Moon is somebody I would like to see once she's 100% healthy, you know, and she's back into the fold and everything. She is one I would like to see the brass in the company, you know, get behind and see what they can do with her as well. You know, give her some opportunities as well. But it looks as though we could be seeing a reunion there of the Riot Squad -1. You know, so how many more weeks are we gonna go through this here where Ruby Riot is trying to catch up with Liv Morgan and, you know, have some words with her? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if something along the lines of Ruby Riot once again catches up to Liv Morgan backstage. Hey, I tried to give you a couple of days of space there. I tried to text you, left you a couple of voicemails. You didn't respond, and I was just trying to see how you were doing. And I could just see Liv Morgan. You don't really care about me. Come on, it's pretty obvious. Blah 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 blah. Look, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your games. Blah blah blah. I can see something like that happening. Now, here's the point that I'm making. We got about 3 weeks to go until Backlash. So, you know, what's the plan here? Is the plan to ultimately see Liv Morgan in a position where she keeps passing up on whatever Ruby Riot has to say, and Liv Morgan, Lana, they continue to throw salt on the wound of Morgan, and there's some type of a beatdown eventually on her. Ruby comes in for the save. Both girls are reunited. They challenge Liv and Natty. Coming up to, I don't know why I keep saying Backlash. That's coming up, and we already done Backlash. I apologize. I just caught that. Extreme Rules. Forgive me. So is that what's going to be happening here? We're setting everything up for Extreme Rules in July. You know, what's the plan here? So, you know, this is something we're going to have to continue to watch out, or, you know, is this something that essentially can just really play out on regular WWE TV and can honestly just culminate at, I guess, SummerSlam? You know, I'm going to have to peep that out, see how that plays. Also during so that's it for the second hour. So that is it for the second hour. So just a brief recap. First hour, you had one match. We already told you about that. During the second hour, you had 2 matches. We just told you about those. Crazy, ain't it? Crazy. That was it for the second hour. Now, for the third hour, you had 2 matches. It's so funny how I put this down in my notes as well. I said chickens versus Bailey and Banks. I'm telling you, every time I fucking hear the fucking Peyton Royce and what's the other one? Peyton Royce and Billy Kay. Every time I hear them, I just picture chickens, just just crows or some shit. You know, they remind me of the fucking, I haven't said this in a good minute, but it was something I used to refer to them as a couple of years back. They remind me of the Chocobos from the Final Fantasy game. If you're a big RPG fan, you ever picked up a game of Final Fantasy, you know all about the fucking Chocobos. The Chocobos are like one of the main attractions for all the Final Fantasy games. And yeah, every time I see them and I hear them, just chocobos. It's all I can think about, just chocobos. But yeah, the chickens taking on Bailey and Sasha Banks for the women's tag titles. Bailey and Banks retaining. According to my notes here that I took, I had this match barely 7 minutes. And they had an urge to do a commercial break in there. About 7 minutes if you were lucky. Post match, Sasha kind of teasing that she wanted to face Bailey for her SmackDown Women's title, when instead she officially issued the challenge to Asuka for her title. Asuka accepted. She did come out, went up to her face to face, accepted the challenge. Two of them actually jumped her, gave her a nice little beat down. That's pretty much the end of that. Also, during that third hour, we got barely a 4 minute match. I'm glad they showed both of these guys. These guys, Shelton, definitely one of my favorites. Apollo Crews. All I can do with Apollo Crews right now, you notice I haven't shitted on Apollo Crews whatsoever. I haven't. I know he has gotten false starts. You know, 1 minute he's on Raw, then he's on SmackDown, and he goes back to Raw, and then he goes back to SmackDown. Now here we are once again. We got him back on Raw. You know, and if there was ever this is my only issue with Apollo. Yeah, my only issue with Apollo was that it just seemed as though he didn't have grit. It just seemed as though, as far as the persona goes, you know, there really wasn't any. It just kind of came off as if it was, you know, pretty bland, you know, very vanilla. But you know, he's starting to grow on me a little bit. I'm starting to see a little bit more personality coming out. I'm starting to see a little bit more personality being flushed out of Apollo. And so I think it's been very instrumental, beneficial as well, that he has been in this triangle, if you will, with MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Bobby Lashley. So I am liking that, and it kind of seems as though it's, you know, making him kind of dig in and kind of go to that next level. So I'm liking that. I'm still a little bit reserved, and I just gotta, okay, let's see how this continues to, you know, play out a little bit. But that's about as much as complimentary as I can get for Apollo Crews right now. The in-ring action from Apollo, not an issue whatsoever. I've never had an issue with his in-ring action. And it's so funny, too, because, you know, some of these people, you know, that I've been looking at, I've been paying attention to them since they were in other promotions. And, you know, it's almost like night and day. It's almost night and day. It's interesting to see those that like to comment about certain wrestlers. And it's like, okay, so you're a fan of them. Oh, so what did you think about their stuff from blah, 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 blah? Oh, they were in that promotion? Yeah. Oh, I wasn't even aware of it. Yeah, they had face, blah, 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 blah. You know, look, I know in this day and age, everybody cannot jump out there and check out every single wrestling promotion that's out there. I get that. I totally understand that. But my whole thing is, you know, unless you never see home and you don't get to spend time with the family at all, you know, at some point you gotta come home. You gotta chill out for some hours. Nobody said you had to watch all of these shows in real time. You know, that's what your DVR is for. You know, assuming you have some type of a DVR recording device, but that's what it's for. And you can easily just, at your own leisure, catch up on whatever shows. You know, that's how most people usually do it. So it always surprises me when, you know, certain wrestlers come along and, oh, yeah, I'm, you know, a fan of their stuff. And it's like, oh, you know, well, if you're a fan of theirs, you should, you know, really backtrack and see, but they never make the investment. So, you know, I say that because seeing Apollo Crews on the independents before he came to the WWE, I know what this guy is truly capable of. I won't say at his maximized potential, but the version I've seen outside of the WWE, it's like, okay, if we can kind of somehow get to that point with that guy, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, that match with Shelton Benjamin, barely 4 minutes there. Akira Tozawa, the fucking ninjas, they're still in there. And all I can just picture is the Bruce Lee gif. That's racist. All I'm missing now with regards to Akira Tozawa is just seeing him with a cup of ramen noodles, or what's the other noodles? It starts with a M. Mumchkins or Manchan or whatever the fuck those noodles are. It's like the only thing we're fucking missing now. I'm calling it how it is. It just fits a fucking stereotype that's just bullshit. And my whole thing is, and you guys really need to feel me on this. You really need to feel me on this, because let's really expand on this. Because Lord knows, we're pretty much done talking about Raw at this point, honestly. But no, seriously, think about this for a second. Real talk here. With everything that's been happening with race relations, especially race relations, law enforcement, Black Lives Matter movement, just, shit that's been happening with undocumented immigrants and the way they get treated, their rights being violated, DACA, just thinking about all of that shit. Gee, I don't know. 2020, all that shit I just talked about. Yeah, do we really need to be putting a Japanese guy on TV and ninjas? And probably not a good idea. No, probably not a good idea. Yet we're going in that direction. So, it really feels as though, in some instances, with some of the things that you're seeing from Raw programming, it comes off as if audience for one, not you, not me, not our friend or our neighbor, audience of one, and that audience of one being Vince McMahon. What will please Vince McMahon this week? What will make him happy? What will get his rockers off and all that other shit? Rather than, okay, well, let's really take a step back and, okay, do we really want to be doing this? We don't really need to be coming off, kind of insensitive to some of the things that's going on in headlines and everything. Do we really have any business going in this direction? But apparently, WWE just does not give two shits. They're continuing to go with this Akira Tozawa, ninjas, and all that other shit. He had a little bit of an assist from Lashley, but he's now the new 24/7 champion. It is what it is. Look, if anybody can turn chicken shit into chicken salad, it's fucking Ron Killings. My fingers are crossed for the man. I hope that whatever the short-term plan is, because that's how I'm looking at this thing with Akira Tozawa right now. Short-term. Okay, so whatever we hope can be accomplished with Akira within the next month and a half to 2 months, I hope the social media clicks and the impressions, the engagements, I hope it's on point. And most importantly, when you look at the ratings, because you got to do the quarter breakdown segments there, I hope that all the numbers are booming and it can even justify Tozawa as the 24/7 champion, especially now that he's going to be intertwined there with R-Truth. I hope the payoff is good, because this just, for me, I just don't see this going anywhere. At least not from the standpoint of things being beneficial for Tozawa. I just don't see it. Truth can make anything happen out of... We've seen this time and time again. I just don't even know if he is going to be enough to even try to help get Tozawa to that next tier. And that next tier that I'm thinking about, it's not a tier of Intercontinental Championships or World Heavyweight Championships, tag team championships, nothing of that nature. I'm just thinking about the tier of, okay, funny and entertaining. Because when you think about funny and entertaining, at least from WWE standpoint, first person that comes to your mind is fucking Truth. You know, and for a brief period of time, Maverick was in there as well. Enzo definitely was in there as well. Ric Flair. Gotta make sure I touch upon this one. Ric Flair was in the house, giving a lot of props to Randy Orton, putting him over like a mofo. Randy Orton really embracing the Legends Killer persona that he had pushed from years back. He basically was giving a rebuttal to what Edge had to say earlier. And I got to tell you something. There was one good thing about Raw tonight that was must see. And I tweeted about this too. Was the passionate promo that Edge had cut on Randy Orton. I definitely would encourage a lot of you guys that didn't get an opportunity to watch Raw tonight, but maybe you have it on the DVR or maybe you forgot to record. And just at this point, if there was maybe one highlight, I would say go out of your way, go on the YouTube channel for WWE, check this out for all it's worth. I would say go check out the Edge promo for Randy Orton. I want to say that where this was filmed was in the ring at Edge's house that WWE had sent and built for him and everything while he was trying to make his big comeback, training for his comeback and everything. And you want to talk about a promo that had intensity, definitely that had grit, that had a lot of passion, and really made you connect to a not just the man, but feel his agony, feel his pain, feel his path of vengeance. It was the promo that Edge cut tonight on Orton. I loved it on so many levels. It was so multi-layered as well. I mean, so fucking deep. It was almost kind of like the promo Undertaker cut on AJ Styles, and thus Mark Calloway giving us insight that in that last chapter of The Last Ride, it wasn't just the American Badass that was returning, but what you were seeing at that point with that Taker was a culmination of Mark Calloway, the man, being intertwined with the Phenom, the dead man, the Undertaker, but also being intertwined with American Badass, and all of those personas combined into one Taker. What we were watching from Edge tonight was a scary case right here where we were watching Adam, meets Edge. We're also getting in there the husband. We're getting the father, especially when he brought in that part about I couldn't even pick up my kids on Father's Day because of what you did to me in our match and what happened with my arm. Just going that multi-layered, going so personal as to say to Randy Orton, essentially, when you look at your kid and when you talk to your wife, when you and your wife both look at each other in the eyes, and as far as is everything okay? I mean, really going that a lot of layers to that. And I think those of you that saw it tonight would definitely be in agreement with me. A lot of layers to that. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that on so many levels. Edge basically saying, you have woken up a beast. You have woken up a side of him that has been dormant for many years now. And that side that he's woken up is the rated R superstar. And as we all know, the rated R superstar was the ultimate opportunist. He did everything by any means necessary to exploit to no end whatever he felt would give him the best opportunity to exceed in whatever he was trying to accomplish. And so that's the edge that is I'm loving this. I know some people are a little bit with this feud and everything, but no, I always felt that as far as this feud goes, I always felt, this could go until SummerSlam. And we did kind of tease that off and on for some weeks now. So I like how things are playing out. If you remember, I had laid out the idea of Christian being incorporated and all of that, and things seem to be going the way that it's supposed to be going. It's going on course right now. So I can't wait to see how this third act is all gonna come together and everything. Looking forward to it. But Big Show, as if last week wasn't enough, we got another appearance by Big Show. Big Show spoiling the party there for Edge while he was getting sucked off there in the middle of the ring by the Nature Boy. Big Show trying to take revenge there for Edge and Christian. Orton really didn't want anything to do with Big Show, pretty much telling him, you're bringing this on yourself. You picking a fight with me. We've known each other for over 2 decades. You're going to regret this decision. So things just kind of ended on a cliffhanger. Kind of wondering, we know this is going to be 2 cars colliding here, but, how and when is it going to be colliding? But one thing's for certain. Big Show's next on the list to become famous by Randy Orton, whether it's by a trademark RKO or a punt to the head. For me, I got to be honest. I thought for sure Randy Orton was going to be punting the shit out of Ric Flair. I thought for sure that's what was going to be happening. I thought they were going to go in for an embrace and Randy Orton was just going to low blow the shit out of Flair. I thought Flair was just going to be there bawling his eyes out and why? I love you. And I was just expecting the punch to the head and that was going to be the end of it. But they did not have Flair do anything physical just yet. That's the key thing. Just yet. Rey Mysterio back in the house. Back with his son Dominic. And he's spoiling for a fight. He wants to get retribution on Seth Rollins. I gotta be consistent here. I talked about it last week, and I threw Rey Mysterio under the bus. How you not gonna have that fucking eye that's supposed to be damaged properly covered up and sell the fact that your fucking shit is injured? Remember that? I bashed the whole lighting process and all of that. Well, Rey Mysterio it seemed as though he doubled down this week to make sure that right eye of his was protected, as it was covered up pretty damn good. You could not see through that black little part of his eye for nothing. Better job with that selection of a mask and the material used to cover that right eye up. Got to give a lot of props for that. But damn you, Seth Rollins, damn you. Yeah, you hurt my familia, and it was just so touching, so warm, and so fuzzy just seeing Ray there in the ring there with his son. Dominic, I don't care how big you get. I'm always gonna be your father. And I appreciate you fighting this fight for me. But this is my battle, and I've got to finish this. It was so touching, You had me scared. I was looking for you. I called you, and when you didn't pick up your phone, I said, damn you, Seth Rollins. I know you guys like that. That's why I keep running with that. But, no, night pretty much ending with Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Murphy coming out. Looked as though it was going to be 3-on-2. But Humberto Carrillo, Aleister Black coming out, helping them out there. Everything looked pretty balanced there for the most part. One point, Mysterio and his son were able to get their hands on Rollins. Looked as though they were about to do that eye for an eye. They were about to take one of his eyes out, but his buddies in Theory and Murphy saved the day. Episode just pretty much went off with everybody standing tall. So it looks as though all these personalities are gonna collide. Safe to assume maybe they're all gonna be colliding at Extreme Rules. Dolph Ziggler, according to the reports we heard some days ago, turns out everything was true. Is that Ziggler is back on the Raw brand. And storyline part of the trade for AJ Styles to SmackDown. So apparently it was a 2-for-1 deal. So AJ Styles to SmackDown, Bobby Roode and Ziggler are now on Raw. No Roode on this episode, not yet. Can't help but wonder when that's going to happen. Ziggler getting in the face of the champion Drew McIntyre, saying, hey, everything that came your way to the point of where you're at right now as the WWE champion, you owe it all to me. I had a big hand in that. Look at where you are now. You owe me, and the way you can repay me is by giving me a shot at that title. McIntyre begs to differ because ever since they split, he's well aware of what's been happening with Ziggler on SmackDown. As on SmackDown, Ziggler has been constantly on the receiving end of defeats, but he obliged Ziggler. And it's official. At Extreme Rules, it's going to be McIntyre defending the WWE Championship against Dolph Ziggler. Does anybody even think remotely for a second Ziggler? No, right? So this is really then the question of how entertaining will this match be? Look, that should be okay. It should definitely be okay. And when I say okay, I'm not saying, if I can give a prediction right now, it's going to be about average. It's going to be about average. I would think probably if we were lucky, that match may probably have a 6, maybe a 7. But that's really it. When you look at that, again, looking at those notes there, 8-minute match here, 11 minutes of a match there, 6 minutes of a match here, 7 minutes of a match there, 4 minutes of a match here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches during a 3-hour show. And when you take that, hey Google, what's 8 plus 11 plus 6 plus 7 plus 4? Thank you. So you had 36 minutes total of in-ring action out of a 3-hour program. I don't know about you guys, but that's all I have to say. So, you guys enjoying the show so far? If you are, definitely sound off. Let me hear from you guys as we got more important topics that we are about to get into coming up next. We're definitely going to be shedding the spotlight on what a crazy week it was in between shows with the whole speaking out movement. I know it's for some of you guys probably a bit exhausting by now. I promise you guys, this definitely ain't gonna be no 3-hour show where we're gonna be talking just that. I want to do this in a way where it's summarized and I just give you my overall takeaway. So I really think when it's all said and done, you guys are going to appreciate just the way I approach it. I know by now a lot of you guys, and I appreciate a lot of you guys that check out the shows weekly, whether you check out the webcast or you listen to the show on demand and on the downloads. I know there's a lot of you guys, even if something has been exhausted, kind of, worn out, I know there's a lot of you guys, I'm curious what Lee has to say about, this certain matter. And, and by now, I know a lot of you guys, if you're listening to me, 9 times out of 10, you definitely are making your rounds checking out other wrestling podcasts. So why to the point of insulting your intelligence, act like, you guys don't know what's been happening. You've been under a rock and it's, this happened and this happened. Shit is long-winded. So I want to just kind of summarize as much as humanly possible. There's a couple of things I will just kind of put out there, but trust me, you guys will definitely appreciate how I approach it and everything. So we got that coming up. Also remembering Joe Schumacher, great director, screenwriter who passed away. I'll shed some thoughts with regards to his passing. Also, I want to follow up on something I had touched upon with the Undertaker Last Ride review that myself and Tammy sat down and did. As you know, on Patreon, we exclusively was reviewing the Undertaker Last Ride series. So 1 through 4, that's, you know, Patreon members only. Originally, Chapter 5 was just going to be Patreon only. And right when we got done watching it, we decided, nah, we need to make this an episode everybody can check out. So if you didn't check out the review for it, it is on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/the RCWR show, and you guys can check it out when you get a moment. Also, it's available on Twitch, Mixer, and Facebook as well. It's also on those platforms as well. If you guys are enjoying the show, please do me a huge favor. Make sure, depending on how you're checking it out, if you're checking out the webcast, and I do want to give a shout out, not just to our kind audience via YouTube, also want to give a big shout out to our audience over on Fight TV. Appreciate them, as we are brought to you in part by Fight TV. So definitely want to show them a lot of love as well. But if you're checking this out webcast version wise, you haven't subscribed, make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss out on more great content that comes your way. And hit the heart, or if there's a like button, make sure you hit that. It pretty much lets the algorithm gods know, hey, I like this. I'm recommending this because I want for other people that's into wrestling and other little stuff to check this out. Lets the algorithm team know, okay, all right, cool. Yeah, we got it covered. Do that. Appreciate that in advance. Of course, if you're checking out the audio, you already know what you need to do with the audio as far as showing your love for that. So we'll get into some Patreon shout outs in a little bit. We are brought to you also in part by So Fan Comics. I've had so many potential sponsorship deals come my way within recent months, especially during this pandemic. I can't tell you how many people have hit me up. Hey, I want to advertise on your show, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, my listeners are hurting for money right now. They're either out of work, they're collecting unemployment, or they just don't, not right now. Like, and I've been trying to just make sure I find stuff that you guys definitely, this is up your alley, you guys will definitely check out. So if you notice, that's why you really haven't been hearing too many ads we've been plugging, is because I've been very particular. I've been doubling down. And no, I don't want to, let's go with this instead. But So Fan Comics, I definitely want you guys to check out for all of your pulp culture needs. If you guys are into the comics, and I know many of you guys are, I know many of you guys are also into the comic book shows as well. I know a lot of you guys are into the comic book movies. Check out SoFanComics.com. They will hook you up as far as your comic book needs are concerned. They also got great pop figures. You can also find some cool movie posters, stuff like that. Check them out. You won't be disappointed. SoFanComics.com. Again, SoFanComics.com. While we're also talking pop culture, there is going to be a update for you gamers out there. There is a update that's coming for Marvel Future Flight. And apparently it's going to be the Immortal Hulk. That's what's going to be coming. I guess it's a new Hulk skin. And if you know about the Immortal Hulk, I know you guys are, the Incredible Hulk. Now there's this thing, it was I've only read like the first couple of issues. I think it was a limited series, but there's this thing called the Immortal Hulk. And it's kind of like a zombie kind of Hulk version, basically, is my kind of, it's been a minute since I read it, because I only read like about maybe 2-3 issues, so I gotta dust off the cobwebs and reread it again. But from what I read, it was pretty good. It was beautifully illustrated, but it appears as though with this new update that's going to be coming, that Hulk is going to be coming to the game. So just FYI, because I know probably some of you guys haven't maybe picked up that game in a while. I have been playing it. That's the thing with that game. You know, you get burned out after a while because shit gets very redundant. Other than going into the shield lab, doing your thing,
playing the world balls, trying to get the CFFs. You know, there's really nothing to do. And then depending on who you're trying to take to tier 3 and get them up to level 70, because not everybody has tier 3 and not everybody can get the level 70, you're pretty much kind of like, okay, well, that's fun. I'm done. But just FYI, peep that out. Thought I'd, show you some love with that one. So, speaking out. Where do I even begin with this? This was weird for me last week, seeing all of this play out, the way that it was playing out on social media. And you know me by now, if you've been listening to the show for a long time, and something that I always try to tell you people is, wait a minute, remember the type of society that we're in. Majority of us in this society is very reactionary. We don't kick back, wait, and let everything play out and try to, okay, here are the absolute facts. These are the absolute nothing but the truth. That's all it is the truth. Hard, stone cold facts. Versus the he said, she said. I've always tried to prepare you guys as listeners in that type of way. I've always tried to look at things from all standpoint, present it to you in that type of fashion, and how you walk away from it, well, that's at your own accord. But all I can do is just help you look at things from a few different angles, and that's it. But to see how everything had played out last week, and then just by the day, the way it just continued to grow and grow and grow, you're just, wow. And I think that truly this is something that is not going to, I know it's picking up a lot of buzz right now. It's picking up a lot of steam. I feel in my heart of hearts, this is something that it's not going to go quiet after, like dead silent. It's not something that's going to just, after a couple more days, it's just going to totally disappear. It's not going to be anything like that at all. I think this is something that, first of all, we all need to understand. Yeah, depending on where you are in North America, there are a lot of areas that are beginning the process of, a lot of areas that are beginning the process of, okay, we're now going into phase 2. For some areas, they're still trying to hit phase 1. But majority in the USA, phase 2. I think there's only but just a handful that's even entered phase 3. If they were even lucky, I would have to rely on you guys and you all tell me what's going on in your neck of the woods as far as are you in phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3. But to my point, we're still relatively in that process right now where it's not quite back to normal just yet. For a majority of individuals, they are still at home, not quite back to work just yet. If they are working to a certain degree, it's probably remotely, but it's temporary. It will be going back, physically to work at some point. So there is still, my point, there is still a bit of downtime. So social media, if you're lucky, spending time with friends, family, and however way you can, you're still going to be doing that, but social media is still going to play a big part of your life. And so what went down last week, and it just continued on, even going into today, this is something that's going to continue to develop. It's been weird and kind of funny to a degree, seeing people add this name to the list, add this name to, add this, add that. I mean, look, this shit really got started with David Starr. Just seeing how everything had played out and everything, And yeah, just as far as, UK wrestling and all, it's kind of weird how they, got everything, set up over there. But with the UK, David Starr, all that shit, involving him. Look, I'm not going to be around the bush. What he said as far as a statement, I truly didn't pick up the sense of somebody that was really taking self accountability for their actions. What I kind of read, just again, me, 2 cents from a distance, but what I read as far as his statement goes, of a rebuttal, of a explanation, was basically, well, see, it kind of happened this way because I was a piece of shit of a guy, and this had happened to me, and this. He was making it be about himself rather than it be about his victims, the people that, he hurt. If you want to make it be about you, well, self accountability. That's something that we always talk about on this show. Self accountability goes all around on so many levels. When you do something wrong, you said something wrong to somebody, you treated somebody unfairly, however the case may be, there's always self accountability. There's enough self accountability to always go around, I always say. But for him to be accused of rape, sexual abuse, and you got more than one person jumping out there, saying, yeah, I've had shitty experiences with this guy as well. The statement that he puts out there, and first almost kind of denying, but then the shit with gray rape. That for me just really just had me scratching my head, just going, Jesus fucking Christ of Latter-day Saints. What, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Seriously, what the flying fuck is wrong with you? And that just made me say, I'm not even reading any more of your shit. You're already on my shit list, and what you said so far, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Just fucking fuck it. Fuckity fuck. I don't care anymore. Travis Banks, and for David Starr, well, that's it for my wrestling career. I'm okay with that. Well, good motherfucker, you need to be okay with that, because it's not like you have a say so in whether or not your wrestling career is going to continue and all this other shit. Yeah, I hope you're okay, because it's not like you had a choice. From the moment that this shit came out, your half-ass self-accountability line, and then the stupid weak rebuttal that you try to put out there, and the explanation, you just shot yourself in the fucking foot when it's all said and done. So for me, that really opened up the door to this whole speaking out. Travis Banks releasing the statement in response to the allegations made by Millie McKenzie responding to it and everything. Just, that whole ordeal. You're like, whoa. Then going into MLW, I know a lot of you guys, you're used to me talking about MLW, Impact, and all the other promotions, on Wednesday. But MLW getting into the mix of this, they having their own little bit of a black eye during this whole ordeal. I really don't see that many podcasters talking about this either, but MLW, they fired their ring announcer, Mark Adam Haggerty, after his name was outed during the Speaking Out joint. And turns out, he was having inappropriate conversations with a 15-year-old. And I looked at the chat log, and it turns out this 15-year-old and their parents, which they don't want to be identified and everything, but kudos to that 15-year-old for going to her parents and saying, hey, look, this is the shit that's going on here. And so it's not like this person's word against, it's in fucking black and white and everything. MLW separating themselves as far away from this guy as humanly possible. And when I read the the screenshots of the chat that this guy was having with this 15-year-old. I just couldn't help but just shake my head and say, I don't give a flying fuck how lonely you are. I don't give a fuck. No. No, 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 no. Are you fucking kidding me? No. Don't even need to second guess. No. Fucking no. True story. I was at work last week. And me and my coworker, Ian, we were kicking back. We were just shooting the shit. We see what we thought was a woman. We see this woman walk by with her boyfriend. And Ian says to me, Lee, I don't think that girl had anything under her shirt there. I'm like, huh? Yeah, I think she's just walking around in her panties. I'm like, And so, I looked and I'm going, Jesus fucking Christ. And looks, all you saw was a t-shirt. She was wearing a t-shirt, nice build, nice strong, thick legs. Looked like she was working out or whatever. Hips, curves, all that shit. And me and Ian looked at each other and we went, damn. She comes back. Keep in mind, we see the back of her. This is just the back of her that we're seeing. Second go around, she comes back. Ian goes, Lee, I think that's that girl again. I was like, really? Yeah, because the boy looks familiar. That's her boyfriend. Yeah, it's them again. Look. I'm like, okay. So now we're looking. Now from the back, it's like, oh, wow. Hot looking woman. Way she was built, like, okay, somebody, in their 30s or whatever. Oh my God, people. Let me tell you, when we finally saw the face, what was going on in the front, this girl had to have been at least 14. And me and Ian, we both looked at each other and we said, what the fuck are these kids wearing? And I told him, I said, dude, I'm scared to be a dad. I was like, I don't have any kids yet. I'm financially getting my affairs in order. I'm working on it. But Jesus fucking Christ, man, I'm so fucking scared to be a dad because some of the things that these kids are wearing, what the fuck? And he totally understood where I was coming from, and he agreed, and he said, Lee, I wouldn't be surprised if she had put that on after she left her folks' house, just so she could, really be herself around her boyfriend. I'm telling you, it was almost like she had panties on, and that was it. I swear to God, I wish I was pulling you guys' leg. I really wish I was. So, this whole shit about, age ain't nothing but a number. It's about the maturity level and all this. No means no. No doesn't mean, well, what if it's no, please no. And this Mark Haggerty dude, I don't know what the fuck. He wasn't thinking. That's just the God's honest truth. He wasn't thinking. That was the most disturbing chat log I've ever read. It seemed like some Chris Hansen to catch a Predator Dateline shit. That's what it came off to me. Stupid. Can you just imagine being in a position like that where you're working for a pretty damn good promotion? Some of the stars that's working for your promotion, they're going on to bigger and better things. They're, going to WWE or New Japan or what have you. And, if you were really tight with them like that, you would hope that one day if you decide, okay, I'm ready to move on to bigger and better things. I want to try to see if I can put a little bit more money, in my pocket, take care of my family a little bit better. Oh man, I remember those people that were up in blah, 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 blah. Hey, I wonder if they can, maybe do me a solid and, how you conducted yourself, and the people that you were able to associate with, befriend and all that has a profound impact on your your longevity in the wrestling business, whether it's in the ring, behind the scenes, production, you name it, right? So for this guy to conduct himself the way that, he conducted himself. And then Mr. Joey Ryan. Mr. Joey Ryan. Let me tell you something. Joey Ryan, I've known this for a long time. And trust me, we're not going, I told you guys, we're not doing a 3-hour show. I am not, doing a whole fucking, I'm not going over a top 100 list or anything like that. There's a couple of bullet points in my head, but I'm just putting a nice, pretty little ribbon around this. And that's pretty much it. I know you guys want to know what I've been making of all of this shit that's been going on. That's exactly what you're getting. So you got to work with me as I, go through this and make sense out of all this shit. There's really no way to make sense out of all this, but you know what I'm talking about. Joey Ryan, look, the Joey Ryan thing, I'm trying to find the right words to say. I just got to throw it out there on canvas, and however it sticks is however it sticks. I kind of felt for the longest time there was something about Joey Ryan that screamed douchebag, that screamed asshole. I had him on the show a couple of times, and both times I kind of got the impression that douchebag asshole. But I did my best to shake it off. And I got to tell you something. I'm not surprised. With regards to Joey Ryan, I'm not surprised. For me personally, and I should have looked at this as a red flag. But the minute that he was going on a fucking mean streak of blocking people left and right that did not agree with his version of intergender wrestling, when he was blocking people that did not agree with him having people touch his dick, and he's doing dick flips, and he's doing fucking photo ops, autograph signings, and all this other shit, having people touch his dick. For me personally, and you guys know me, I said it on the show many times. I said, you know what, with regards to Joey Ryan, not my cup of tea. And I was always respectful about it. I said, not my cup of tea. What he's doing with this whole gimmick of his, hey, he's making money. He's he's getting people talking. Somehow it's working for him. So I can't really fucking, give me a second, guys. I don't know why, but my dog is barking. Maggie, hush. Not like I did something new here. Anyway. But my train of thought got interrupted there hearing her bark. What was I saying? Joey Ryan. Yeah, it's like, okay, if he's able to do that, God bless him. If he's able to have people come see him for all of those things that he's doing, I may not agree with it. I've said this many times on the show. I may not agree with it. I may not like it. But you know what? Bless his heart. It's making him money. He's finding some type of an audience that likes that stuff. All right, fine. I didn't shit on anybody that liked what he was doing. But my whole thing is, doesn't do anything for me. I don't particularly care. I can remember being on this show a few times. Even doing one of the shows with Tammy, maybe even talking to Mish about it. Drapes and them from Wrestling Soup, even talking to them about it and saying, I hope that when he's doing these touch my dick photo ops, I hope the ages are being checked out. And if there's any suspicion of that's a fake ID, no, or just hell no, fuck no, you look too damn young, hell no, that it ain't happening. But for me to be on this show tonight and say, I'm surprised with regards to Joey Ryan? No. With regards to Joey Ryan, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised one little bit. Um, you know, he always kind of came off to me as a smug asshole. And just hearing all the things that's been coming out with regards to him, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I'm like this, and you know, and fucking poor Candice LeRae. You know, Candice LeRae back in the day, she used to, you know, longest time be a tag team partner. Hell, they used to do a podcast together and all that shit. I think it was Joey's podcast, Joey Ryan's podcast, and everything. You know, she put a statement out there loaning her support to all the women that, you know, wherever had any dealings with him. And, you know, she, luckily for her, she said, you know, nothing like that ever happened. You know, when she was with him and everything, you know, when they were a tag team, you know, she never heard anything. And, you know, so I'm sure she's as shocked as everybody else is, as far as everything that's been happening. But so bad, Impact Wrestling, it's just a rumor. I don't really like talking about rumors, but let's kind of look at it this way. No shit, Sherlock. You know, you see the dirt sheets, and I kind of like how the dirt sheets are. You know, some of these dirt sheets, they don't. It's true. It's true. They really do not have sources. They are guessing. You know, and it's very true. And I gotta give a lot of credit to my man Don Tony. Don Tony, you know, he really. You know, I've kind of gone back and forth with him about this over the years, and yeah, if anybody's really kind of made me take a step back a little bit more and just look at all the things that's, you know, been put out there. You know, I remember telling him a couple of years back, he's like, I'm truly woken. You know, I'm really now looking at everything that's being put out there and questioning and really reading between the lines. You know, you got a lot of promotions that's looking at this Joey Ryan situation and they're guessing. You know, well, according, you know, how good does this sound? Well, according to our sources, Impact Wrestling is considering what actions, if at all, they may take against Joey Ryan, as he may no longer be with the. No shit, Impact Wrestling is. You don't need to say according to sources. It's just common fucking sense that when you have a situation like this, look, put it to you this way. It's no different than take yourselves. Because I see the age demographics for a majority of you guys that check out the show. You know, majority of you guys, you're pretty much working. Okay? So imagine if you did something so fucking foul, so fucking stupid. You're off the clock. You're doing this on your time. But imagine you did something so foul. Ugh, so stupid. That not only do you trend on social media, it makes the news, and ultimately your employer hears about it. They read up on it and all that. You don't need a dirt sheet to fucking tell you your employer is considering what steps, if at all, they are going to take with regards to your employment in the position. You don't need no dirt sheet to tell you whether or not your employer is strongly considering whether or not they're going to be removing you from the company. You don't need to. Okay, are you with me? Are you with me? Okay, so common sense. Yeah, Impact Wrestling, they went with that whole Tessa Blanchard controversial bullshit. This feels like a completely different beast. We saw how things played out with Tessa. That is what it is. That is still debatable for some people. I'm not looking to talk about that tonight. But this shit with Joey Ryan, yeah, I would not blame them if they want to get as distant from Joey Ryan as possible with all of this shit that's going on. He's literally, he ran off social media. Now he still has his Facebook account, last I heard. He still, unless that's changed, you guys gotta let me know. He still has his Facebook account. He still has the Facebook page for his school, but apparently, all of that is supposedly, gonna be done. As gotta give a shout out to the good kind folks at 411 Mania here. But again, several people they came forward with allegations of sexual misconduct against Joey Ryan. He released a statement, then deleted his Twitter account, or deactivated should be the right word. Statement had featured him apologizing for his actions, but noting he wouldn't comment specifically on allegations due to the advice of his lawyer. And then the Twitter account for the promotion Bar Wrestling, that went offline. SoCal Uncensored, they've broken their own respected news in the past, so you can take what they're saying and cash it at your bank. They're reporting that the Bar Wrestling has closed as a result of the accusation, as sources claim that the promotion is done. The Bootleg Theater in Los Angeles, where Bar Wrestling held its shows, ended their relationship with the company yesterday. Meanwhile, their video library is no longer available on the High Spots Wrestling Network. The company has yet to release a statement, but had been on hiatus since March 11th due to the pandemic. They have reportedly been contacting talent for an empty arena, online-only event for next month, but were told on Friday that it wouldn't happen when claims began to pop up online. So, this report, allegations against Ryan, report says that there have been at least 15, count them, 15, including former Mae Young Classic competitor Vanessa Craven, Roxy, and Jetta. There were also a couple of claims from victims that wanted to remain anonymous. So, and you didn't see what Vanessa Craven had to say with regards to Joey Ryan. You guys owe yourself a favor, and you need to go check out what she said on social media when you get a chance. So, I mean, you got examples like that. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to rely on you guys to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even Pro Wrestling Tees, you got it bad when Pro Wrestling Tees has decided, your store, all your content, you know what? We're fucking done. You ain't got no store with us anymore. You're fucking done. So, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Couldn't happen to a more shittier asshole, as far as I'm concerned. So, you got examples like this. But you also got moments where Big E putting his thoughts out there, loaning his support. Kid Cash jumping out there. Pete Dunne jumping out there, loaning his support. Like I said on Twitter, I can't remember who I had said this to, but what has me kind of take a step back, and just when I look at all of this that's going on, what has me go, everybody's going, OMG, oh man, this fucking sucks. Oh, this is bullshit. Oh my God, the travesty, blah this, blah that. And it's, folks, while y'all just been busy all these years, or however many years you've been a respected wrestling fan, while you've been busy just checking out the in-ring stuff, listening to podcasts only, this shit has been going on, these poor practices of women being taken advantage of, young women, young girls being taken advantage of, not just in the wrestling business, but music industry, Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis, R. Kelly. Just some examples. Practices like what you've been hearing that's been going on in the wrestling business. Sadly, people, this has been going on for decades. Decades. Before I was born, before you were born. This has been going on. This has been going on longer than our respected parents. This maybe even exceeds our grandparents. These type of practices may have started around our great grandparents era. Okay, but and see that this is why I always tell you guys, and you know who's truly paying attention to the wrestling history, who is a true fan of all things wrestling, and just brushing up on the ins and out and everything like that. You know who's who, because let me tell you something. I can remember being on this show off and on over the years. And I remember telling you guys about way before Dark Side of the Ring had even done their shit on Mae Young and everything. I was telling you guys about shit that was going on during Mildred Burke's time. If you don't know who Mildred Burke is, do yourselves a favor and Google or Bing that woman when you get a chance. But there were pretty much shitty practices going on in the wrestling business during her era, and maybe even pre Mildred Burke. I said all of this on social media over the weekend. I think that the only thing that has changed, that has woken more people to these bad practices that has been happening in the wrestling business for so many decades, is the fact that now we introduce a new weapon, which is social media. And by introducing social media, what did we say if not last week before? It's the beautiful thing about social media. You can be anywhere in the world and you have a front row seat to any and everything that's happening around the world in the palm of your hands. That's what I told you guys. Do you want to know what's going on with said athlete, celebrity? Man, just open up your phone, your tablet, hop on the social media feeds. Boom, you're there. You are fucking there. Their life, everything, palm of your hands. So now you introduce this new device. It could be a good ally. I didn't mean to call it a weapon, but sadly for some people it is a weapon. We'll get to that in a hot second. But you put a device like social media in the hands of people, and you get this type of, you want to remain anonymous? You want to share some intimate story of, hey, you don't have to deal with any repercussions. You don't have to worry about seeing this person ever again. Okay, here you go. All you gotta do is type this up, hit send. There are legitimate people out there, and you guys already know the people that have shared their heartbreak stories. If you have social media, it's not my job to name every single Tom, Dick, Harry, Sue, Joanne. That's not my job to do that. For those of you that truly seek the enlightenment, you're going to seek that knowledge. But there are legit people involved in the wrestling business that have been taken advantage of, be it a man, be it a woman. Majority are women, but regardless of gender, there are a lot of people that have been taken advantage of. And my thoughts, my condolences are with them for all the shit that they've had to endure. But the most devastating thing of all is that all of these people have had to suffer in silence while watching these people just continue to escape the wraths of justice. And it's a beautiful thing to hear that, we've got people now that, you hear, depending on who the individual is, you got local authorities that are trying to work with some of these people, collect whatever evidence that they can collect, and, good. fucking good. I'm happy to hear that. If there's some type of way these sons of bitches can be brought to justice, that's good. And for these sons of bitches that unfortunately cannot be brought to justice, well, settle for the next best thing. If it means that their career is essentially over, to quote a Alice in Chains song, it's now down in a hole. Okay, well, good. But here's the other thing that we have to remember as a society. Those of us that know better, we should know better. You sadly have those that are going to be just like with the Me Too movement, just like with whatever movement you can think of, put in whatever hashtag. You're going to have individuals that, oh, well, this is my moment where I can finally attack. This is my moment where I can finally get retribution on so and so for standing me up, blah, blah, blah years ago, or when I needed that promotion and they didn't give it to me. This is now my opportunity where I can really stick it to them and make them pay. Anybody remember the whole shit that went down with Chris Hardwick of Nerdist and Talking Dead and all that? I mean, the shit that went down with that guy. And I can remember being on the show and saying, man, I followed the career of this guy since he was on G4's Attack of the Show and sometimes on X Play, like, always, quietly. I've never said this before on the show, but before he really blew up with Talking Dead and all that other shit, there were a couple of times I had private exchange messages with the guy. And he came off like a really cool ass fucking dude. And I remember when all that shit had first broke out, I said, I don't believe it, but let's follow the evidence. Let's see where everything goes. Let's see how everything plays out. You had ex-girlfriends after ex-girlfriends. You had moms of the ex-girlfriends. I mean, people were just coming from all out of the woodwork. No, that's not Chris Hardwick, blah this, blah that. We got to tread waters here because there are legit victims that have a voice and they have a story to tell and they deserve to be heard. And I hope they continue to take advantage of this opportunity right now while everything is nice and hot. There are real victims here. And I'm sure you all are kind of seeing it now, but you've got people that are looking at this as an opportunity to, I'm going to get that son of a bitch. You see this ever-growing list. I know Jim Cornette's name was on the list. By the way, if you didn't get a chance to check out Jim Cornette's drive-through episode he put out earlier Monday, check it out. Some would say it was a little bit all over the place. I don't really think it was. I think it was very on point. It was just a lot of sub-chapters into the main topic that was at hand, but those sub-chapters helped the overall topic, I personally felt. So he had to go into those sub-chapters. But, when you hear what he said and how he laid things out, that's honestly like with any scandal that comes down where there's legit victims, there's always those individuals that, because I don't like this person, because I've got beef with this person, or because, at a time when blah, 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 and they didn't do what I wanted or whatever, okay, I'm going to stick it to them. And honestly, I hope for those people that decide that they want to use moments like this to basically extract revenge, I hope they eat a dick. I hope that, if there is a God and their name is Karma, I hope it comes back to them times 10. Because this needs to just strictly be about the victims and not those that have their own agenda and all they can, think about is, how can I take this person down? Just because I don't like them. So how can I fucking take this person down? And it's something that's when it's all said and done, these names it's going to keep growing. It is going to keep growing. This is my biggest takeaway for you guys right now. Let everything play out the way it's going to play out. Just keep watching it. I know a lot of you guys are seeing what's going on and you're like, man, what the fuck is real? What the fuck is fake? I'm having a hard time figuring out, what is going on here. I know you seeing the growing names, you're seeing that list, and you're like, oh my God. My best advice to you guys right now is to not lose shits. Because I promise you, I really mean this when I say I promise you, I can remember just looking at the names, and at one point I just felt as though I was getting ready to have a brain overload. And I'm going, how the hell am I supposed to approach talking about this? Because there are just so many names and it was like, whew. And I know you guys are seeing a lot of these names and you're like, wait a minute, oh man, say it ain't so. No, that can't be true. Blah this, blah that. Names are going to continue to be added. I don't want you guys losing any sleep. But most importantly, I don't want you guys rushing to judgment just yet. Now look, granted, it's one thing when you got a bunch of women or a bunch of people that are coming together, because there's been men that have, unfortunately been at the receiving end of some abuse as well. I'm sure you guys probably heard the shit that went down with Congo Kong there, and a bad rib that he had did on a guy, and he didn't appreciate it. Congo Kong made this guy show his entire dick to the entire locker room. And he felt very humiliated. He felt violated. Like, damn. That's some fucked up shit, But, there's real victims here. And they need to be given the time and the spotlight to share their stories and everything. But, it's one thing if you got a bunch of people that's, my personal experience, it's like, okay, well, if my golden rule of thumb, if more than one person says this, and most importantly, they've got some type of proof to back up, what they're saying, okay, well, let all the chips fall the way that it's going to fall. Continue to just look with one eye open, be very cautious. Because that's the thing with this society. A lot of times, we as a society, we're quick to pass judgment. And then when the shit hits the fan and it turns out we're wrong, boy, there sure be a lot of us that don't do the right thing, take self-accountability, and apologize to a motherfucker for jumping to conclusions. But I'm glad that in 2020 that this is now more at the forefront, and hopefully this ugliness that has been going on for quite a long time, honestly, hopefully with more and more people stepping from out of the shadows and speaking on this, hopefully it'll really ultimately get the ball rolling for a lot of promotions and ensure that, okay, and we definitely need to do our best to make sure that, this type of shit doesn't happen again. We want to make sure that this is a safe working environment for, everybody. You shouldn't have to hear some type of bullshit where, oh, well, if you don't give me any, sexual favors, you're not going to be able to move up on the roster, or, you're not going to get that nice big hefty payday, blah this, blah that, But this has been going on for quite a long time. That's just the thing that's really surprised me, is that, for as many fans that were going OMG, I'm kicking back. This has been going on for decades. It's just something that has been honestly on the hush, because there used to be a time where Okay, if you did speak up on it, you've essentially committed career suicide, and you're essentially done. If you were ever trying to have some type of a wrestling career, it's pretty much officially done because, okay, you want to speak out again? Oh, okay. You know what name has been missing from all of this? And I'm very surprised that they haven't been, more vocal, coming to the forefront, being more vocal about all the shit that's been going on. Maybe he said something and I just don't know about it yet. I'll have to rely on you guys. But Joey Mercury, I just remember all the shit that went down last year with Joey Mercury and all the shit that he was saying. And it was like, man, Joey Mercury's on a fucking roll. And mass, you would have thought, of all people, if anybody would have been jumping out there and having some things to say with regards to everything that's been going on these past several days with the speaking out movement, it would have been somebody like Joey Mercury. But to my knowledge, he's nowhere to be found. So that's all I have to say about the whole speaking out situation there. Hey, kind of getting ready to wind down just a little bit here. A couple more tidbits we can get into before we get ready to wrap it up here. So when it's all said and done, we're probably going to be under 2 hours. That's pretty good. I will fucking take it. Hey, I want to offer rest in peace, nothing but mad love, thoughts, prayers, condolences to the family, friends, colleagues of director Joel Schumacher, who passed away. Joel Schumacher, one of my favorite underrated directors, and that's the God's the honest truth. I know he gets a really bad rep for his mark he made on the Batman movies, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I know. He gave us bat nipples. That's what many people are quick to point out. He gave us bat nipples. But it's the other movies that you go, wait, that was Joel Schumacher? Really? Colin Farrell, Kiefer Sutherland, Forrest Whitaker in Phone Booth. Speaking of Kiefer Sutherland, The Lost Boys. One of my favorite Nicolas Cage movies, 8mm, with Gary Sinise. Great movie. Another all-time classic favorite, my ultimate number one from Joel Schumacher, Michael Douglas in Falling Down. You talk about a guy having a bad day. Whew. Phantom of the Opera. I thought it was pretty damn good, personally. He also, I'm not really sure how many of you guys were aware of this, but when you really stop and think about it, especially if you've seen this and you're into blaxploitation films, first of all, you're probably going to say, wait, Lee, you just said blaxploitation films and you're linking it to Joel Schumacher? Yeah. He was one of the screenwriters for Sparkle, Car Wash, and The Wiz. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that, did you? Yeah, fucking Joel Schumacher. That was him as well. So this man in practically every single decade that you can think of, he has made his impression. He has left his fingerprints and he has fucking left his mark. It's a great body of work that he leaves behind. One of the most diverse directors that I can honestly think of. And I really mean that. I know once in a while you'll hear that term diverse, but he truly was diverse. Just the range, just the execution and the way he could go about telling a story. It's something that's just uncanny. Something that's just uncanny. And and the other thing that is really fucking badass about Joel Schumacher, I personally felt, and I knew about this for many fucking years. Here's a director that's openly gay, man, and he don't give a fuck. You like it, you don't like it, he does not give a fuck. He's gonna continue to do what he wants when he wants. And by God, he lived life the way he wanted to live it. I forgot the interview that he gave it to, but I wish I was ribbing you guys. He said at one point he believes he slept with at least over 20,000 men. Now, I personally think he might be exaggerating quite a bit. I could definitely see maybe almost 1,000 partners. 20,000. I don't know about all that, but this is a guy that could definitely tap into whatever emotion that needed to be told as a director. Whether he wanted to hit you from a psychological thriller standpoint, or he wanted to hit you from a suspenseful standpoint, or a comedic standpoint, or maybe he wanted to come at you from a somewhat slapstick, not really comedic, but that's kind of the direction I'm almost kind of leaning towards. He truly was diverse, and he was also, when I go back and I think about, directors and everything, this is a director, okay, yeah, he's openly gay. His whole thing is, come as you are. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're straight. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. This is the story that we're trying to tell. And man, if you want to be a part of it, that's great. This is what I'm going to need from you. He was always able to bring out the very best in the cast he was able to work with. That's one thing very consistent in all of his work. When you check it out, in all of his work. Passed away at the age of 83, so that is a nice, long, fruitful life. Godspeed, Mr. Joel Schumacher. Once again, passed away at the age of 83. Also, something else that came to my attention, here in the nation's capital, a lot of interesting developments has been going on sports-wise. Let's talk NFL. And by the way, man, when NASCAR comes back, NASCAR made a fan out of me. I love seeing everybody come together and support a Bubba. After Bubba had found a fucking noose hanging in his garage from over the weekend, that dumbfounded. I was truly dumbfounded when I had heard that. You talk about very insensitive, very dickish, and all of that. But it was awesome, just powerful as well. Seeing basically the entire NASCAR organization get behind Bubba in solidarity. Beautiful. No bullshit, I never cared about NASCAR. Previous years, never cared about it when I was growing up. When I was a little kid, I thought it was boring as fuck, and that just stayed with me all the way into adulthood. But, this Bubba guy, he's got me. I'm locked in now. I'm going to definitely check out NASCAR. Well, next NASCAR joint that comes on, any organization, sports organization that conducts themselves the way that NASCAR has conducted themselves, well, you got me as a fan. I'm definitely going to be checking you out, and I'll be telling my friends about it. So I'm looking forward to that. But something else that's been going on in the sports world here in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., a very powerful piece, and I recommend you guys check it out when you get a chance, but a very powerful editorial was done last week on the Washington Redskins. And once again, the plead to Daniel Snyder, owner Daniel Snyder of the Redskins, change the name already. That is now back up in Adam, as there really is, it's building up steam. Now, I don't know if Daniel Snyder is going to cave in, because he was quoted in an interview from some years back, basically saying it ain't gonna happen. Capitalize it. It ain't gonna happen. But he's been in this process past couple of years where he's been trying to do his best to rebuild and rebrand the Washington Redskins. I tell you, my personal take from a distance, if he really wants to be remembered in the history books of the NFL, if he ever wants to have that episode like Jerry Jones, and he wants to have a football life episode done on him and everything like that, then it's all about what's the foundation that you're laying down right now. What is going to be your legacy for years to come? How do you want for Washingtonians? How do you want for sports fans in general? Especially the NFL fans, how do you want them to remember you and your legacy? Then I say, my darlings, Daniel Snyder definitely needs to strongly consider changing the name of the Redskins. I know one thing that he's doing, that he had put the green light on, which is an awesome thing. And keep in mind, this is all going on while we got police reform, schools, the Confederate generals, and it's sparking national conversation, as it should. Bobby Mitchell, the first Washington Redskins black player to ever be signed, his jersey number 49, it is officially being retired. And his name is also going to be replacing George Preston Marshall on the lower seating bowl of FedEx Stadium. Remember, George Preston Marshall, he was the last owner to basically integrate. So, for Daniel Snyder, this is all about, okay, so what's going to be your lasting legacy? Do you want to be known as a owner that just came in there, thought you were going to be able to buy your way to a Super Bowl? Because that's how he operated for essentially the first 10 years of his ownership of the Skins. He thought that he could just throw money. I mean, true story, and I know many of you guys probably are not aware of this. That's why I'm hipping you guys to it. But anybody else that's a Washingtonian will tell you, or live in the DMV will tell you, Redskins had a rep back in the day under Daniel Snyder. Oh, if you want to get paid, come to Washington. Yeah, man, Snyder's wallet, man, it's open. He'll give you a blank check. You'll fucking get paid. That's how we were able to get Donovan McNabb, Deion Sanders, and that's why we at one point had some heavy hitting names that were coming over here. It was because Snyder just, I'm gonna buy. Hey, watch, we'll get them and get us a championship. Watch. So he operated like that for many, many, many fucking years, and he literally was trying to do things his way. He's very inspired by, excuse me, he's very inspired by Jerry Jones and all that. And I know Jerry Jones and 2-3 other owners really took him under his wing, showed him the ropes and everything. So he tried so hard to aspire to, be like his idols and everything. But he had those moments there where, okay, you got Joe Gibbs, and you had North Turner, practically every single coach that he's had and fired, essentially, they've been able to go to another organization and do better, to the point they were able to win a Super Bowl. So, he's in this rebuilding process, and I'm not saying, he's only got 10 years left to live. I mean, if he wants to continue to be in this realm, he successfully would be able to do it for probably at least another, 20, maybe even 30 years, knocking on wood with good health and everything. But, what's the long lasting impact that you want to leave behind, for your kids and, their kids, those, your grandkids and great grandkids, that's how he needs to be thinking right now. Hopefully he's seeing everything that's going on. You could look at what he's doing with the whole Bobby Mitchell thing and all that, and you can kind of look at that as tossing a little bit of a bone, and that may kind of pacify fans for a little bit, but they're going to want a lot more. They're going to demand a lot more, and I personally feel they shouldn't let up when it's all said and done. So that's something that's going to have to continue to develop, and we'll see how that pans out. But other than that, I want to just say this about The Undertaker Last Ride. I didn't get a chance to mention this when me and Tammy were reviewing it, and that's this. And it was so funny because me and Tams talked about this for an additional, 5 minutes, and afterwards it was, man, that would have been great to have on the show. Maybe as even part of some bonus audio or whatever. But that's this. I just want to double down, and in addition to what I had said last night on the show, I don't want a case for Undertaker 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year or now. I really don't want Triple H or Vince McMahon to pick up the phone. What do you think about this? How about coming in and doing a match? No. How about coming in and giving Elias a choke slam? It's just a choke slam. You just gotta dress up and do a choke slam and do a tombstone pout. No. None of those things. None of those things. At this point, honor the man. He says he's done. He's good. Honor that. If anything, celebrate the man's career. Celebrate the great body of work that's now in the books of wrestling history. And to follow up on what Tammy said, as far as 2021 goes, hopefully 2021 will truly, everything that's been going on with him, hopefully 2021 will be the year that Mark Calloway, The Undertaker, goes into the WWE Hall of Fame. But definitely no phone call. Hey, pal. None of that shit. Man's, he's earned the right to ride off into the sunset and enjoy the fruits of his labor. Let it happen already. For you Smashing Pumpkins fans, you guys will get a nice little kick out of this. I heard this over the weekend and I just was, oh, that's badass. So Smashing Pumpkins, they are hard at work remixing and mastering Machinima 1 and 2. So if you guys recall, those albums were dropped in the early to mid 2000s, especially Machinima 2. Machinima 2, I remember when that album dropped, because I was in college. That album, it basically had dropped via the Smashing Pumpkins website, and it was available as a free download. And you could tell the potential of those tracks. But you always couldn't help but wonder, okay, how would these tracks really be if it had got that solid production of a feel to it, that crisp, clean effect, mastering and all that. But great, along with the first Machinima, great fucking albums. And apparently Billy Corgan decided, okay, you know what? Since the band has pretty much gotten back together, and we're working on some new material and everything, why not revisit Machinima 1 and 2? So that's exactly what they're doing. So on top of remixing and mastering, they're also going to be introducing some new songs that, they had initially played around with, but, it never really officially got into the studio, basically. I can't wait. So if you're a Smashing Pumpkins fan and you remember Machinima 1 and 2, now's a good time. I don't know when was the last time you had played those albums, but now's a good time to maybe dig those up, play those again. And, my whole thing is, if you're going to do it the proper way, do it fucking justice. And anybody that's into Megadeth, I think you guys would agree with me. ingenious what Dave Mustaine had did there, where he decided, okay, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna basically re-record, remix, remaster, all of my albums. I forgot with what album until what. I know he went through 97's Cryptic Writings. I can't remember how far he took it up with the band that he had at the time. But yeah, if you're going to kind of do that type of an approach to it, man, you can't go wrong with that, especially if you're going to introduce some new songs part of the catalog as well for those respected albums. I mean, you can't fucking go wrong with that. But I gotta tell you, not everything that Megadeth had did there when they were doing the remastering and all that, not everything I had enjoyed. Like, I gotta be honest with you, I don't know if there's maybe a minority group that feels the same way, but with regards to Megadeth's Cryptic Writings album, that's actually one of my top favorite albums from Megadeth. A lot of people kind of look at that as more of a commercialized album and everything, more of a mainstream album. Some people may kind of say, Megadeth kind of sold out at that point or whatever. If you were to say I would more rather go with, I think, the Risk album. I would kind of maybe go in that direction. But anyway, I don't like the remastered, remixed Cryptic Writings album. I can't get into it. I can't. I prefer to hear the original album that I grew up on and not the new. I was fine with the older shit. I was. So it depends. If you're a true fan, it's like, no, it's all good. Everything is good. But, so peep that out. Check that out when you get a chance. And that's honestly pretty much it. I want to take this time. I want to give a shout out to our Patreon members. Patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out bonus audio, video content, great majority of which you won't be able to find anywhere else. Patreon members, we do got some new content coming you all's way. It's going to be dropping this week, so hang tight, my pretty babies. Shout out to Sean Kenter. Shout out to Justin Ripstock. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to John Davis. Shout out to Gino. Shout out to Tony Bing Gaming. You want the very latest in all things Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Marvel Super War, Tony Bing Gaming, tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, reviews. Check him out. Awesome guy. Shout out to Kevin Nash, by the way. Kevin Nash had revealed on Instagram he recently had shoulder surgery. Man. As far as what happened, he said basically lifting weights, and man, it looks bad. It looks like the beginning of Ground Chuck when you look at his shoulder and the areas where he got surgery and everything. But speedy recovery to him. I just had to mention that because that almost has slipped my mind. But speedy recovery once again to Kevin Nash. Your next edition of the RCWR show is going to be coming you all's way Thursday. Did get a chance to look at my schedule for this week, and Thursday is the way we're going to be going. So Thursday it is, and I'm just looking at my schedule one more time here, making sure I do have it right here. Bear with me one quick second, guys. Yeah, Thursday we will be on, so that'll come on, I'll say we'll come on around 10:35 ish in the evening this Thursday, June 25th. Patreon members, stay tuned for more bonus content that's going to be coming you all's way. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you normally check out your favorite podcasts. We're most likely on those platforms as well. Once again, special shout out to SoFanComics.com. Make sure you guys check them out. Audio version of this very episode will be available Tuesday night once I get situated in from work. Meantime, enjoy the webcast version, which is on the platforms I mentioned earlier when we kicked off the show. Please make sure you subscribe. Give me a follow throughout social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords the RCWR show. And that is going to do it. For those of you that will be checking this out on demand, appreciate the love and the support. Those of you that's going to be checking out the audio version on demand and on the downloads, Appreciate the support and love as always. Until next go round, wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. Stay well, my friends. Y'all do take care. Good night, y'all.